Welcome to From the Think Space from Edupulse. In this new series, we meet the inspiring people driving change in education, shaping ideas, sparking debate, and reimagining what's possible.
Hello, everybody out there in podcast listening world, and welcome to another episode of the Edupulse podcast. I am delighted today to be joined by none other than Lisa Maria Müller, who is the research lead at the Chartered College of Teaching, among many other things, I think, which hopefully Lisa Maria will talk about. But we're going to dive into something really precise and really specific in this episode. There's an incredibly exciting and important project that the Chartered College of Teaching are running in association with the EEF and UCL. And Lisa Maria is going to tell us a little bit about that, and specifically about how schools can get involved with this really, really important piece of work. But first of all, good morning, Lisa Maria. How are you? And thank you for joining.
Thank you so much, Adam. Yeah, really well, thank you. How are you? Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, good. So I'm actually at UCL this morning myself. I was in a room, but then that room's been booked by somebody else. So now I'm in a corridor, sat by a lift, recording this podcast. So it doesn't get much more glamorous than that, does it really?
No, it doesn't, I think. And it just reminds you of teaching, everyday teaching, doesn't it? You just have to go with the flow.
Yeah. Exactly. Lisa, for anybody that doesn't know you, do you just want to give us just a very quick overview of who you are, what you've done previously, what you do now, anything to do with your life story that you think that would be interesting for people to know?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm Associate Director for Research and Policy at the Chartered College of Teaching. I think Chartered College of Teaching doesn't require an introduction. I'm sure you've talked about it at length. I've been with the college now for 7 years, which really seems like a lifetime. Originally, I'm a secondary school teacher of foreign languages, in particular English as a foreign language and Russian. Which is interesting. I trained in
Yeah, wow.
Austria and then moved to the UK and taught in secondary schools in England and in Austria, both state and private, and then moved into a postdoctoral position following my PhD, which I did focusing on bilingualism and language disorders. So that's really interesting. So I've always got a languages hat and a linguistic hat. And then following my postdoctoral stints at the universities of Cambridge and York, I decided that I wanted a more applied research role, which and sort of back to the roots and into education, because that's really where my heart sits. I really want to be doing research that impacts the quality of teaching, understand better how teachers are working in classrooms and getting teachers' voices heard at the policy level. And this has led me to the Chartered College of Teaching, where I now lead our research and policy department, and really excited to be able to facilitate dialogue between research, policy and practice in this role.
Brilliant. And I think there's something so important there, isn't there, about that role to bringing policy and bringing research into practice in a way that is, evidence informed, but also context and reality driven. And I think that's a big part of the college's work, and certainly by the sounds of it, your role as well. Before we dive into the precision of this particular project, I've got to ask, how many languages do you speak?
5, 4 on a daily
Just
basis.
4 on a daily basis, and then an extra one for good measure.
Exactly.
I'm in awe of anybody that can do. My wife is French, and my French is not good enough for her liking at all. So I'm full of
Well, my
admiration for
husband is
anybody
French,
that.
so I definitely. So there we go. We got that in common.
But French is one of your 5, is it?
It is, yes. French, Polish,
Yeah.
German, English, and Russian. But I don't use
Fab.
Russian
Wow.
these days.
Well, what an array of languages. Okay, so let's dive in then. So, what is this project that we want to talk about today? Why is it so important?
So this project actually sits really well at this research policy practice intersection. As many of you will have heard, the DfE are really interested in the potential of for offsite PPA, so the ability for teachers to work from home during their PPA time to impact teacher well-being and help with the teacher retention crisis that we're currently seeing. Because, of course, lots of other professions, lots of other jobs allow people to work from home in teaching. That can be can be more complicated. Although we know that lots of schools have already started to implement this policy. So um, we are working with colleagues from UCL and funded by EEF to look into the potential of offsite PPA policies. Primary schools allowing teachers to take their PPA time away from the school site, and how that impacts their well-being, their job satisfaction, and their actual retention in the profession. And I think it's really important that schools get involved in this research because, whilst, of course, it's great to see that government are really interested in doing something about the retention crisis, we know that the workload is a massive issue. We know that teaching is not as flexible as other professions are, which makes it really difficult for people to find a good work-life balance. So there is a potential that allowing teachers to take that blocked time away from the school site may impact their job satisfaction. But at the moment, we just don't know. We don't have the evidence. So, of course, for the Chartered College of Teaching and our colleagues from UCL and equally from DFE, there is lots of interest to actually better understand whether such policies have an impact, how they impact teacher well-being, how they can be implemented as well. Because, of course, it's not as easy as simply telling every teacher that they can go and work from home or elsewhere during their PPA time. It requires careful planning. We know that many schools are facing staffing shortages, so there are lots of complexities involved in this. So we need to understand both its impact and the reality of trying to implement such a policy in different types of primary schools in order to make evidence-based and evidence-informed recommendations to government around this type of policy.
Okay, so if I just summarize that to make sure that I've accurately understood then. So what we're talking about is we're starting with this hunch that we think, okay, there might be something in this working from home or PPA from home idea that might help with well-being, that might therefore have a spillover effect into retention. And we also have a hunch that by doing it, we probably also won't have a negative impact on the quality of planning that teachers are doing. And at the moment, that's a hunch because we don't have a wide enough research base to say it with confidence. And what this project is trying to do is establish that research base. It's trying to create the evidence that shows that, yeah, we can positively impact well-being and retention without negatively impacting the quality of planning that teachers do. So, would I have summed that up about right?
Yes, hopefully. Well, we don't know whether it impacts our scoping phase. So we've already conducted a scoping phase, which does indicate that it can positively impact teacher well-being. But obviously, the sample size of that was really small. So what we now need to do is we need to go out and work with more schools and see whether that holds up and whether it actually has an impact also on teachers' job satisfaction and their desire to stay in the profession and the actual fact of staying within a particular school. So really exciting times to see to test these hypotheses, to go out and test the impact that such a policy can have within schools on
Mm,
teachers.
mm. Yeah, and I suppose the pushback I think that you often get from particularly from leaders around this is that if teachers are having their PPA from home, then they're not having that richness of discussion together in school. But I recorded an episode of Thinking Deeply About Primary Education, which is another fantastic podcast with Kieran Mackle, who's the host of Thinking Deeply. Recorded that and it came out last weekend. So if you haven't already listened to that, have a listen to it. And in that, we talked about the fact that there are different types of planning that teachers do. And that actually, like, we're not saying that the only planning teachers ever do is during their PPA time. We know that teachers are meeting and talking about plans for the upcoming days and weeks and units of work on a daily basis. We know those conversations are taking place in classrooms at the end of the day, at lunchtime, before the day has started, at the printer. All of those informal conversations are super rich, and they're all still going to carry on. We also know that teachers tend to kind of get together in an informal way as well to kind of scope out broad aims of units of work. And we know that, again, that will continue because, frankly, if you've got 2 or 3 classes across a year group, there's no way that you would be able to make use of PPA from home unless you had those conversations prior to that with your team members anyway. So we're not saying don't worry about having those conversations, you don't ever need to have them. We're saying carry on having those conversations because that's where the real richness is. But when it comes to actually the nuts and bolts of putting those plans together and fleshing them out, why not do that part from home? And actually, like, my hunch, and it is only a hunch, but it's a hunch based on my own experience of being a leader and also a teacher, is that you end up doing much better thinking because you're able to spend sustained periods of time thinking and you're in control of your thinking. Whereas in school, during doing PPA in school, I was never in control of my own thinking. I'd literally be thinking about, planning a maths lesson, but in the back of my mind, I'm waiting for that door to open and someone to come in and go, well, there's this problem with your class. You're going to have to come and sort it out. I'm really sorry. Or this parent's phoned, or can you do this? Or we've got this problem. And then you feel duty bound to drop your planning and go and help and get involved. So we're not saying that no planning should ever take place in school. We're not saying that no planning conversation should ever take place with teachers, but we are saying that by freeing up some of that planning time from home, you can actually protect teachers' headspace, and that's where they'll end up doing their best thinking, right?
Yeah, so essentially, we just want to we want schools to give teachers some control over their working time, essentially. So if there is no obligation for teachers to take that time off-site if they don't want to, and our scoping phase showed that there are teachers who definitely prefer to work from school for various reasons, either because they do want to do that shared planning time, or there may be better facilities, or they may not have the necessary facilities at home. So all sorts of reasons. Some just want to have the control of sometimes doing it in school, sometimes doing it at home. So by taking part in this project, there is no obligation for teachers to work from home during their PPA time, and we're not expecting schools to force their teachers offsite, close the doors, and tell them that they have to go home. But rather, it's really only a small intervention where the offer is there, the possibility for teachers to take their PPA time away from the school site is there. Teachers can take it up without specific approval from the line manager. There is an understanding that this time is owned by teachers and they can spend it in the way they wish to. If that includes individual planning from home during that time, great. If it involves working with their colleagues at the school site, also great. But the idea is that this is minimal change that can be implemented in schools around flexible working, and that could allow teachers to have more agency over their working times and how they arrange their work day. And so it'll be really interesting to explore how that impacts the ability to collaborate, how it impacts, as we said, teacher well-being, teacher job satisfaction, and so on. So I think it's a really exciting opportunity to dig deeper into all of these issues, implementation issues, and how they can help teachers to arrange their work dates. And it's exactly as you said, in our scoping phase, we found exactly that. We found that schools that are already implementing offsite PPA time are finding other ways. So teachers in those schools are finding other ways to collaborate, not either within that time or during other time that is available. So it doesn't have to negatively impact collaboration in schools. So that's something important to consider.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, actually, that, this project isn't about escorting staff off site, making sure they get in their cars and sending them home. That was always something that used to drive me mad as a teacher when, you'd go, everyone's got to, the head would go, everyone's got to be out by 4. Why do we have to be out by 4? Well, it's for your well-being. Right, okay. Now you just end up feeling like I'm under massive pressure from 3:15 to 4 to get everything done that I have to get done. That doesn't feel great for my well-being. Or you get the other one, which is someone will kind of come to your classroom door at like 5:30 or whatever it might be, and will go, "Oh, you should go home." And you look up, you're like, "Should I? Because if I do, then tomorrow is going to be hell because I haven't got these 8 things done that I need to get done to enable tomorrow to be bearable. So I think I'll stay here and finish. But thanks for your concern." Like it's not about doing those things, is it? Around, making sure that
No,
everyone has to, it's optional.
it is optional, and it should be up to teachers. And we also understand that there can be exceptional circumstances where it is necessary for teachers to stay on site. The stress
Sure.
here, though, is on exceptional. So these circumstances, it, exceptional circumstances shouldn't be arising every single week, but we do understand also that they can arise and they may require for safeguarding reasons. For example, obviously we've all lived through a pandemic. I do hope that that's not going to happen again, but we do know that illnesses, etc., may need to affect to what extent it is possible to offer this to teachers on a weekly basis. But as I said, at
Mm,
the situations where it's not possible to grant teachers that freedom to decide where to spend their offsite PPA should really be exceptional. Overall, they should have
mm.
the possibility to choose where they want to work and how they want to work during this time.
Brilliant. Brilliant. Okay, so if I'm a school leader, I'm thinking, actually, yeah, you know what? I'm sold on this idea. I think it's worth looking into. I'd like to help. How can I get involved? What do I need to do?
So, a few possibilities will be adding a link to a sign up form to this podcast, so you can sign up through there, which means that you're expressing your interest, and we will then schedule a Microsoft Teams call with you to further establish your eligibility, because there are a few eligibility criteria that are really important. Only state primary schools can be involved in this study, and at this moment in time, only primary schools that don't offer offsite PPA to their members of staff. So only schools that require all staff to stay on site as a general rule can be involved. If you sort
Mhm.
of fall into the grey area, you can definitely sign up, and we will then explore with you in that team call whether or not you are eligible. So if you're thinking, well, generally I ask teachers to stay on site, but there are exceptions where I grant them the possibility to go off site, please do sign up, because we can then explore with you how often. It's really a frequency question, and sort of line manager sign off question. So please do sign up. And if you don't currently offer any form of offsite PPA, then please do also sign up, and then we'll get in touch and explore this further. So as I said, primary state schools that don't currently offer an opportunity for teachers to take their PPA time away from the school site. We also have an information a webinar coming up next Thursday, the 19th, from 4 till 4:30, where the research team will be available to answer some questions. So again, we'll give you a brief overview of the project, what we're looking for, an opportunity to sign up. And then if you've got any questions, if you feel that maybe there are a few things you'd like to clarify, we'll be there to answer those questions. So that's another opportunity for you to just pop on and answer and get some of your questions answered. And just in terms of how the trial works, so if you express your interest and you are eligible after having spoken to our research team, we will then send you a memorandum of understanding that clarifies kind of what you're getting yourself and your school signed up to. And you'd need to return that to us in a signed form, so we can then ensure that you really are you're signing up your school to the trial. And what happens then is that your school will be randomly allocated to one of two groups. So either your school will be allocated to a group that starts offering offsite PPA from September 2026, so next academic year, and we'll provide some guidance for you as to how to do that and some examples of how schools have done that before. Or you'll be allocated to the control group, which means that you're not going to be implementing any changes. So if you're not currently offering offsite PPA, you're not allowed to be starting to offer offsite PPA during the next academic year, so that we have a good control group, which means that we will be able to compare whether offering offsite PPA, i.e. the possibility for teachers to take their PPA time away from the school site, impacts their well-being, their job satisfaction, their retention in the profession. So that's obviously really important for us to have a control group, so that we can ensure that any changes we see are actually related to the fact that this policy was introduced in that academic year, and not on many other factors that we know can impact teacher job satisfaction and their retention in the profession. So I hope that's clear. You have the link also provides everything I've said basically in written form. You can sign up. Honestly, if you are not entirely sure if you're eligible, please do sign up. We can just chat through it. Those phone calls take about 15 minutes, not longer, for us to just have a bit of a chat with you to let you know whether you are eligible. What's important also to note, before I forget, is if you are a MAT leader listening to this, then you can sign up as well. And in the case of multi-academy trusts, we'd just ask that you are willing for the schools in your trust to be randomized into different groups. So that means that not all schools in your trust will either be offering or not offering offsite PPA. We know that can be problematic because schools are comparing themselves to each other, and it might cause issues. But it's really important for the research that we treat the schools within a MAT similarly to all other schools, so that they can be randomly allocated. If some of your schools in your MAT currently are already offering offsite PPA, but some are not, if that's a school level decision, please still sign up, and we can then explore that further in that 15-minute phone call that we'll schedule with you. So that's also a possibility. If you think, okay, well, maybe 11 of my schools are already offering offsite PPA, then of course they won't be eligible. But I've still got 10 other schools that aren't currently offering offsite PPA as a rule. Please do sign up, and we can then explore to what extent they can be included as part of the study.
Fantastic. So to summarize, we will have the link to the sign up form and the information site, which will go into the notes for this podcast. And we'll also be sharing that really widely as widely as we possibly can. But you sign up if you think that you might be eligible and you'd like to take part. You get a 15-minute call to make sure that you're eligible. And then if you want to go ahead, so at that point, there's no obligation. And then if you want to go ahead, then you'd get randomly allocated to either the intervention group, i.e. your teachers start having PPA from home, or the control group, which means your teachers don't start having PPA from home. And then the trial kicks off, and we see what happens, and we kind of capture those results and share with the world at the end of that process,
and communicate them back to policymakers, which I think really makes this project so exciting for it to take place at a time where there is a real interest in the sector to find out more about this topic. We know that there is real interest from DfE in this topic, in understanding flexible working as part of teaching. So I think it really is a massive opportunity for us as a sector, for us as an organisation, our two organisations, both UCL and the Chartered College of Teaching, to be able to contribute to a better understanding, to ensure that our policies are really informed by the latest available evidence. And currently, we just don't know. We simply don't know. As you said, Adam, we have a hunch, but whether that pans out across all participating schools and what some of the potential barriers are to implementation, I think that's as important to find out, and we will study that as part of this project, as it is to find out how it affects teachers' job satisfaction, their well-being, and their retention in the profession, which we know is a big issue. We're really struggling with that as a sector. So we really owe it to everyone to try and do our best to do what we can to address it.
Yeah, absolutely right. Do it for your schools, do it for your teachers, but ultimately, I think the message is do it for the sector as well, because we are at a time where, I genuinely believe, I have some fairly regular communications at the moment with the DfE, particularly in the east of England, because of the locality of where I work. That we're at a time when the DfE and other bodies are listening, and so this is the time to have a say. So do please get involved in this project. It's incredibly important work. And as a primary teacher of 17 years, this is really, really close to my heart. And so, I'd urge everybody out there to get involved. Just have that initial conversation by filling out the form and see where it takes you, see what you want to do after that. But definitely, I would urge everybody out there to get involved in this.
Yeah, and we're really
Dr. Lisa Maria Müller,
yeah, sorry.
go on, go on.
We really like having chats. So honestly,
Yeah.
quite as Adam said, there's just filling in the expression of interest form means that you can have a chat with us. You can find out more about the project. If you feel that maybe something wasn't quite clear in terms of how I presented the project today, then that's the opportunity. And so is the webinar next Thursday as well, and we'll add information and sign up opportunity for you as well to come and meet more of us of the research team.
Yes, definitely. We'll make sure that we get that link to Thursday's webinar out in the show notes as well for this. So yeah, please definitely do sign up for that and come and hear about more and have your say. Dr. Lisa Maria Müller, thank you so much for your time this morning. And I'm really excited about this project. I know others will be too. I really hope that we can catalyze some big sign up for this, and as a sector, we can kind of all come together and see what we can get done in this space. So thank you so much for your time. And I hope you'll be willing to come back on another time to talk to us about some other cool research stuff.
Well, merci beaucoup. And speak to you soon. Thanks so much for having me, Adam.
We abiento. And everybody out there in podcast listening world, thank you very much indeed for listening. And do remember to subscribe, share, Apple, Google, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, and spread the word. Until next time, have a lovely week.
Thank you. Bye.